I am honored today on behalf of the State of Palestine's mission to the United Nations to address the Islamabad Policy Institute's Roundtable Conference on Palestine, focused on the so-called deal of the century and the two-state solution. We are deeply grateful for the constant, principled, and strong support of the government and people of Pakistan for the Palestinian people and the just cause of Palestine, including the support that continues to be unwaveringly extended to our efforts at the United Nations, and this includes vital support to the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, an important reflection of the compassion and solidarity of the Pakistani people with the people of Palestine. Esteemed conference participants, the Palestinian people have just solemnly marked 71 years since the 1948 Nakba, and they lament not only the tragedy of their violent uprooting, dispossession, and ethnic cleansing from their homeland 7 decades ago, but the Nakba that continues to be suffered as their rights continue to be grossly and systematically violated, and so glaringly in these days in which Israel has been completely emboldened by the U.S. administration push for its so-called deal of the century and its intensifying pressures on the Palestinian people and their leadership. It is in this context that our people continue to be denied their right to self-determination and independence, continue to be dispossessed of their homes and properties. This is the same context that 5.5 million Palestine refugees continue to be denied their right to return to their ancestral homes and lands, suffering one misery and crisis after another in exile, their vulnerability and despair interminably deepening, especially in the besieged Gaza Strip. Our people continue to be marginalized and subject to all forms of humiliation and deprivation by an illegal occupation that knows no bounds and that stands in absolute contempt of the international community, including the Security Council. And the occupying power is being aided and abetted in these crimes by U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East peace envoys and the U.S. ambassador to Israel, who have fully and completely aligned themselves with the extreme right wing in Israel and are serving the nefarious schemes of annexation in Palestine, as we see in occupied East Jerusalem most strikingly, and aimed at stripping our people of their rights in their holy city and in the rest of the occupied land. This is happening even as we speak, as they prepare for their so-called Peace to Prosperity economic workshop tomorrow in Bahrain, attempting to supplant rights with money and a political solution with economic incentives. The position of the Palestinian government on this matter is clear. We have rejected participation in the Manama Conference as a matter of principle, rejecting any initiative that fails to conform with the long-standing international consensus on a solution to the Palestine question, one that is in accord with the two-state solution on the pre-1967 borders and firmly based on international law, the relevant UN resolutions, the Madrid Principles, and the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative. We are assured that this remains the foundation and the core of the international community's position, and we reiterate our appeal for adherence to this principled position, despite the attempts to distract and distort from these parameters, as we are witnessing with the Manama Conference, and to distract from the urgency of a political solution that is rights-based and that can truly achieve justice for the Palestinian people. We understand that peace requires painful compromises, as we are repeatedly told. The Palestinian people and their leadership know this too well from experience. They made the most monumental and painful compromise over 30 years ago in accepting the two-state solution and declaring independence of their state on only 22% of their historic homeland. We have accepted such compromise and had the courage to commit to it for the sake of peace and coexistence. And contrary to the myths and the rhetoric, that is actually the most generous offer for peace ever made. But Israel has rejected it over and over, never missing an opportunity to obstruct and undermine it, bringing us to the one-state apartheid reality we face today. Claims otherwise are false. We are committed to a peaceful solution and to political, legal, popular, and nonviolent means for achieving it. Our pledge to respect international law and UN resolutions remains unwavering, and we have engaged in good faith negotiations for decades and cooperated with every single credible peace effort, firmly believing in multilateralism and dialogue as essential for realizing peace. But assumptions that further unfair compromise can be forced on us by financial and political pressures and blackmail even are faulty and cynical. Only in the context of a just solution is compromise possible, logical, and defensible. And occupation, annexation, and human rights violations can never be accepted as the norm or as just or moral, no matter the spin, the rhetoric, or the pretext. Likewise, we cannot accept dangerous attempts by Israel to convert this conflict into a religious battle with Israeli religious extremists aided and abetted by evangelical extremists. No one can accuse us of not wanting peace or not seeking the best interests of our people, but there is only one legitimate basis for peace: international legality, and that cannot be characterized as a condition. A solution to the conflict can only be achieved through a political solution that guarantees an end to the Israeli occupation and the realization of the national rights of the Palestinian people, embodied in their independent, sovereign, and viable state with East Jerusalem as its capital, and realization of the Palestine refugees' right to return in accordance with the relevant UN resolutions and international law. The Palestinian leadership cannot accept to merely improve the lives of the Palestinian people while this occupation continues in one form or another. Nor have the Palestinian people endured decades of suffering and waited nearly a century for freedom to resign themselves to limited autonomy. Those who believe so ignore history, international law, and the resolve of a people to attain justice and equality. The vision that will offer Palestinians new opportunities to realize their full potential is one in which independence is the centerpiece. This is not what is being discussed in Manama. Yet, despite all the setbacks and challenges, the Palestinian people have demonstrated their resilience, ability, and ingenuity, and continue and will continue to strive until realization of self-determination and sovereignty over their land borders and resources. They will not accept half solutions or a fait accompli as their fate, and they will not surrender to despair. They will persist on their journey to fulfill their legitimate national aspirations and inalienable rights, including to be a free people and to live in security, dignity, and peace in their homeland. Esteemed conference participants, it has often been said that the protraction of this injustice is a primary factor in the degradation of international law, and that it has bred a dangerous culture of impunity. The protraction and gravity of this injustice are what have kept this issue on the UN agenda for decades. We will continue our efforts at the UN to seek justice for the Palestinian people, certain that only the implementation of UN resolutions and respect for international law can ensure justice and are the keys to establishment of peace and security. After 52 years of this illegal occupation, and after more than 70 years of Palestinian dispossession and exile, it is clear that appealing, cajoling, and appeasing Israel is not going to work, and the international community must come to realization that only accountability can break this toxic cycle towards finally ending this illegal occupation and achieving the rights of the Palestinian people. No one can deny that we are in need of new efforts and new energy to overcome the suffocating political deadlock. But new cannot mean trampling the law and mocking the long-standing international consensus. which is what the current U.S. administration, in collaboration with Israel, is trying to do. A solution can only be founded on respect for the law and human rights, and good faith negotiations to resolve all final status issues, including Jerusalem and refugees. For a lasting peace, such core issues must be justly resolved and cannot be relegated as non-issues, as is now being attempted at the Bahrain Conference, where the words occupation and Palestine are not even once mentioned in the U.S. peace plan. We will thus continue to stand on principle and to reject such cynical and bad faith efforts, and we ask the international community to stand with us and uphold its responsibilities and obligations towards the Palestine question. And we remain deeply grateful to Pakistan for its unwavering support in this regard, and I thank you for your concern, consideration, and support through the efforts of this conference and all the efforts of the representatives of Pakistan.